Hello, very warm good evening to you all on the sixth day of Executive 10th batch of Executive Development Program. My sincere gratitude to ICAI President and all leaders of ICAI. This initiative of Committee for Members in Industry and Business has been continuing since the month of April. We are very happy to see your positive feedback on the sessions which have happened over the past 6 months. In these sessions, we have tried very best to bring here the speakers from all around the world and on the sessions on the topics which are of significant importance to the young members, to all of you who are in your first 5 years of employment, so that you get that knowledge which may help you to excel anywhere you wish to. And today we have 3 different sessions. We will be having 3 speakers, starting from Swati, CS Swati, who is here to talk on communication and time management, then business macroeconomics on economy, and on the revenue side, we will have a speaker, 2 speakers from the African region. So, and we have also present here team member of Committee for Members in Industry and Business, C. Hari Vadva, with us right now. And before I hand over to Swati, let me briefly introduce her. Swati is a qualified chartered accountant and company secretary with more than 14 years of post-qualification experience in various fields, ranging from dynamic project management, project controlling, to the mundane yet energizing core accounting work for companies like Simplex Infrastructure and Siemens. As a chartered accountant, her aim is to synergize her academic background with communication and presentation skills to contribute effectively to the organization she works for and the society at large. Thank you so much, Swati, for being here with us today. We are sincerely thankful to you for all your support, also as a guest faculty with our overseas office in Dubai. And I have seen you contributing to many social projects, and that makes a big difference to what you do in spite of your busy schedule. And today, you have volunteered to speak to our young members on very important soft skills. Communication is a topic which interests me a lot, and no one can undermine the importance of managing time. And we did had one session where slightly it was touched upon. Today we have 50-55 minutes for your session, and we can dig deeper into these very important topics and try to make a big difference to our young members. So we have members who have qualified in the last 5 years, which may be from 1 year to 5 years. And I would request members to put any questions which you may have on the topic, and if a response is requested from our speaker, then please contribute to that, and we will there's a questions facility available from where you can put a question or a response. We will minutely track that, and I request all of you to please give a big virtual round of applause to Swati. And Swati, the screen is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Pradeep sir, for a nice introduction. Yep, so I'm going to share my screen and then we'll start the presentation of communication. My introduction is already given by sir, so I'm not going to repeat it again. Okay, so let's start the slide. Yep. I hope we can see the screen.
Yes, Swati, it's perfect. Please go.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. So this first screen, it shows how communication is. It looks very complex to us because there are a lot of things. Like communication is the blood or the lifeline of day-to-day dealing. We can say in our workspace, in our social gathering, everywhere. Even though we are not communicating using some channel, we are doing communication through non-verbal means, and that means a lot, correct? So let's switch over to the next slide. Okay, let's go in detail, like the very basic of communication, the definition of communication. This very simple definition which we are reading from our academic world is that the imparting or exchange of information by speaking, writing, or some other medium. The very basic of communication is just exchange of information. The mode can be speaking, writing, or some other medium like non-verbal gesture. Generally, we do eye-to-eye contact, and that sometimes if you have that good chemistry, you can even ask questions through eye-to-eye contact. So the main purpose of communication is to express or impart exchange of information. So that's what I have put in my slide. If I am going to read my slide, that meaning is to share. Like understanding is also important. I'm just saying. If people are not understanding, it's not a communication. So it should be understandable as well. So understanding is the key element in an effective communication. Again, communication is two-way process. It's just not mere I am saying something, the other people at the other side of the table is not understanding. So it's sending and receiving both verbal and non-verbal communication. We don't only communicate through verbal channels, we communicate through non-verbal channels as well. In general speaking, 40 to 60% of the meaning of communication is transmitted in the process the way the message goes to the receiver. According to me, I have transmitted the correct information, but I don't know how the sender, how the receiver at the other side is taking my information. So that's what the issue with communication. So understanding again plays a very key important role. So if we summarize the whole communication process, it's the source, the information, then how to transmit the information to the other party. Then I have to decide the channel, whether it's an email or a telephone conversation, or I'm going to face-to-face meet that person. Then at the respect of other person, we need to see how the person is decoding. Once he decodes, he will receive the information and then he will say accepted or he will respond. That's the whole communication process. It's the very basic of communication, but sometimes while communicating, we forget the importance of it, that it should be understandable by the receiver. So when we are starting a communication, we should keep that in our mind that it's not important only to just transmit the information or the piece of information which I need to pass on. We need to see which group of people we are talking about, which age, what information we are imparting, and depend on that, we have to follow this communication process effectively. It's not important to use very flowery language or very complex one, because you never know, depend on the group of people whom you are in front of, whom you are speaking. But the communication process should be complete to make it an effective communication. How communication plays a big role in our organization, because we all are corporate people. If somebody is working in a business organization, somebody is working in corporate sector, somebody is working in a field of teaching like consultancy, services, etc. So major role in success of business organization. Suppose, just let's take an example. Like I have a lot of ideas for a new project. My company is taking up a new investment. They are investing in hotel industry. I have lots of amazing ideas, lot of things which I have, but I don't know how to communicate it properly. So I'll not be able to present to the management the perfect views which I think which is apt for investment analysis. So if we know how to communicate, so we can put our ideas forward in a nicer way. And again, let's discuss about this. Let's take this project a bit long. Now I have present a report for my management about the investment analysis. Then I need to understand the group of people whom I am catering to. if they are technical. I have used a very technical terms of our financial analysis. They will not understand that, correct? If there are some technical people who understand, it's fine. But so we need to understand the background of the people whom we are presenting. Accordingly, the communication can be effective. Communication is a simple one, but yet a very complex topic to discuss. Okay, so let's read now the effective communication. Enables achievement of set objective, vision and mission. Foster better understanding, promotes healthy relationship. If I'm a good communicator, I can explain my points. Always the relationship between me and the sender, receiver will be better because I know how to express myself. Companies prefer employee with very good communication skill. Whenever we read a lot of interviews about the jobs and all postings, we read good communication skill, interpersonal skills, etc., etc. Obviously, company want a person with a good communication skill. Otherwise, if a person is there who is working really amazing, effectively, efficiently, but they don't know how to express themselves, they don't know how to mentor the other people, they don't know how to present it in a nice way. So it doesn't help that. Even it's a bad negative point on us as well. Next point. Objectives of communication. I know I'm gonna visit the basics again, but again, we will read the definition of communication, that was exchange of informations. Informations can be any of type: to inform somebody something, to regret, either to persuade or motivate, educate somebody, build strong relationship, overcome conflict, to solve problems. Look, all these objectives we always use in the corporate world. If you are a supervisor, you need to motivate, you need to persuade, you need to make your team educate about. You want to build a good relationship with your supervisor. There are every day you will face small conflict between the team members of your team. So the objective of communication is not only just to pass on the information, but information can be of various varieties. These are very like small list of objectives which I have plotted here. Okay, suppose I'm going to read a sentence. Listen to me carefully. We will come to the slide later on. Kindly come at 5 p.m. to meet, to see that place. Does it make sense for me? No, I don't understand what I am saying. Let's rephrase the sentence a bit differently. Kindly come at 5 p.m. to meet Mr. X near the ball center for review of arch building by today. Now it makes sense. It makes sense to me. Why? Because the date is mentioned, the time is mentioned, whom I'm supposed to meet, that is also mentioned, the place is mentioned, the purpose is mentioned. So this defines me. I can relate this sentence as principle of 7 C's. What is the principle of 7 C's in communication? We all know this, but we tend to forget sometimes, because what happened when I am speaking, I think, okay, I know half of the thing. I don't speak half of the thing. But if we concentrate on this small details when we are speaking or when we are presenting something to somebody, it makes a lot of difference. So now let's just revisit the principles of 7 C's. Clarity. Yes, the sentence which I said, the second sentence has a clarity. It's complete. How come? Why is mentioned, what, when, where, whom, who. Everything is mentioned. It's short, conciseness, consideration. The sentence has been drafted understanding the receiver's mind, attitude, level, background, everything. Correctness, the language is correct. Courtesy, it's very polite, it's not bossy. Coherent, all points are connected with each other. Look, when we are speaking, we just cannot put that okay, are we completing the 7 principles? See 7 principles? No. But while practicing it daily, when we are saying, we should make sure that we say the complete information, complete sentence. It really makes a big difference. Because the other party whom we are dealing to will not have much confusion about what you said, where to come. They will not call you again and again to understand. But if you say the complete sentence, it's complete by itself. So yeah, it's a effective communication. We talked about verbal communication, but I told you at the start of the presentation that non-verbal communication is equally, I would say it's rather more important than verbal communication. The way we stand, the way we do our facial expressions, the way we do eye contact, postures, everything is equally important. How? Let's take a small case scenario. We are sitting in a meeting where you are presenting something to board members. Okay, your supervisor is sitting with you, so you will not if you have some tricky things to answer yes or no, you will not ask in front of others to your supervisor how to present that, etc., etc., but you will do eye contact, you will do some facial expressions, or this is the way how you use the non-verbal communication. There are few instances where you don't have to verbally communicate, because you are so experienced with that person, you know how to communicate non-verbally. Okay, so 90% of our daily communication is based on non-verbal cues. How come? Body language, facial expression, gestures, eye contact, postures, appearance. It makes a big difference. In a board meeting, it's a formal place, correct? So you will make your appearance as formal. You're not gonna make a non-formal appearance. So that's all your body language. It talks a lot about your personality, your character, and it plays a big role in effective communication, because you're communicating something with your body language. Then your tone, pitch, speed, you're speaking too fast. The other person is not even understanding. So that also makes a barriers to effective communication. So we need to have a tone, which also matters a lot. Then pitch, speed. I am communicating very fast. So the other receiver will not receive the proper information. Maybe he is not experienced with the way I am talking. So half of the information will be lost in the transmission because of my speed. Then proxemics, which is called space. Like the way we stand in front of, I would not rather say way, the space I would rather say. There is always a rule, I would rather say, like, in public, how we stand, in personal, if it's a social gathering, you are very close to somebody, but in formal gatherings, you're not that close. In office, how you behave, that's also non-verbal. Suppose I'm so close to somebody, it makes me uncomfortable. So that is a part of non-verbal communication. So we have to follow all these principles to make it a effective communication. Then time, language, how does it matters? That is called chronics mix. Punctuality. My punctuality says a lot about my personality. That's a non-verbal communication. How? If I have to attend a meeting at 5, I'm coming at 5:15. What you will make it out of it? No, I'm not respecting the time. Maybe I have a valid reason, but I should always consider that as a contingency plan, that maybe there will be this mishap happen. I might be 15-20 minutes late. So let's take that in calculation and reach 15-20 minutes early. I can wait outside, but I should not be late in that meeting, because it, again, a part of non-verbal communication. I'm not saying anything, but my act making a decision about my personality, or if there are some genuine issue, I'm waiting for the person. So how long people are willing to listen. That also a non-verbal communication. Silence. Silence can be respect out of fear, out of restatement, or either a lack of interest. I'm so silent because I'm not even enjoying the topic. Effective use is a pause before making an important point during a speech. We all know how to present, okay? But we are continuously speaking. The receiver might lose the interest in between. So we should always use the high or low pitch. Then we should have pauses in between. We should give a room to discussion. This way we can make it more effective. Then a touch communication. How this happens? Sometimes you did a good job. Your manager comes and pats on your back, correct? So that is a touch communication. But again, it should be formal and within the rule boundaries. Let's go to the next one. That is barriers to effective. Now, with the other discussion, we can easily make out what are the barriers of effective communication. Very simple. Suppose it's very noisy. I'm making a call from a noisy place. So again, the barriers is what? Wrong choice of medium. Because if I have to attend a call and I'm at noisy place, I should try to find out a place where there is less noise, where the place is audible. Either improper feedback, poor listening quality. I'm doing so many works together. I'm not listening to the call. I'm just hearing the call. So it's a poor listening ability which making effective communication which is a hindrance in between effective communication. Poor retention. I listen a lot, but I can't retain it. That's also a barrier to effective communication. Poor pronunciation, lack of non-verbal. I'm just speaking straight. No action, no expression on my face. Don't you think it's so boring? So it's again a barrier to effective communication. Language, noisy transmission, cultural differences. Then perceptual biasness. Assume the other person has certain character based on a group to which they belong. I am itself assuming that, okay, this person will think like that only. Again, a barrier to effective communication because I'm not making effort to transmit my information effectively to the receiver. Yeah. Tips for effective. We have read about effective communication, how it works, how the non-verbal communications are so important, then barriers. Now again, if we want to summarize the tips for effective communication, very simple. Pay attention. If I am in process of communicating, I should pay attention. Be consistent. Be consistent. Use the name of the person frequently. Common grounds. Having a stake, passionate. I should be passionate about the topic. If we are here for the communication skills topic, we should be passionate about it. Not as if we have done it so many times, so it must be the same thing. No. We have to be passionate. We have to believe ourselves. Be genuine. Sometimes there are a lot of clusters happen, like we don't know what we are doing. So give it a minute, give it a moment, let's breathe, because once you breathe, it gives you like your mind gets clear, you think a lot of things. And one more thing, never argue. If you think that the point that the other party is presenting is not correct, you can raise your voice, but don't argue. If you think like argue is not a good point when you are in the communication process because it might offend somebody. So better to make it simple. Don't argue. Okay, we talked about communicating. Effective communication, but there was at the end of the definition of communication, there was a point that we have to listen. The receiver need to listen. So how to make the listening effective? Look, we hear a lot of things when you are in a car, when you're in an office, you will hear a lot of sound. Listening and hearing is very different. Hearing is just hearing. You don't retain much. Listening is paying attention to it. Okay, you need to respond to this information. That's listening. And if you see physically, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we have to use in the same proportion. Listen much, speak less. While talking about the listening part, we have to speak less and listen much. Then only we will retain that. Again, same thing. Listening is different from hearing. Obviously, we all know this. Hearing means a lot of noise beside you, but it's not that you are listening everything. Okay, because we do filter listening as well. We only listen what we are supposed to listen. Okay, there are different modes of listening. One is competitive or combative, where a person listens to promote our point of view or attack weak points. Okay, a presenter is presenting something. You are in the middle of a presentation where one of the person has worked really hard to present something. But your main focus to that listening is just to attack the weak points. It's not bad. There are few persons who use that style. That is also good. Why? Because you are participative in that. Passive or attentive, generally interested in hearing and understanding. Active or reflex. Passive and attentive means they are just listening. They are really interested in the topic and they are listening. Active or reflex listening. What is the difference between passive and active? We all know if English meaning of it. Passive means indirectly, active means directly. So this active and reflective listening is interested and actively checking the understanding. Suppose I am not understanding one fact which was presented in the meeting. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm going to listen to it fully first, then I'm going to rephrase my understanding and check with the sender whether this understanding of mine is matching with the knowledge he wants to transmit. That's called active or reflective listening. Effective listening, there are a lot of points we can discuss about it, levels of listening. To listen effectively, we must actively involved in the communication process. Then 5 essential factors which affects listening, that is motivation, concentration, empathy, knowledge, and emotion. Empathetic listening. We read about this point, empathy. How does empathy helps in listening? Let's talk about that. What do you mean by empathy? Empathy is putting yourself in others' situation. That's called empathy. So how empathetic listening helps in effective communication? If you are empathetic listening, you will understand what the speaker is thinking, feel. It improves mutual understanding and trust because you are understanding from speaker point of view. And what are the benefits of empathetic listening? Build trust and respect. It helps speaker to release emotion, reduce tension, encourage the surface of information, create a safe environment to collaborate or problem solving. Let's take an example. You and your managers are discussing about something. If you are not empathetic listener, you will not understand from which perspective he is saying, what pressure he has. So we have to have this practicing this empathetic listening to make the communication very effective. Rules of good listening. Look, we are talking too much about listening because it's really a key point in the whole communication process. I can speak a lot, but receiver can speak. Like receiver need to understand and listen. Then only the process of communication complete. Sometimes you will see a lot of people in between the meetings and all, they are talking, not listening. But if you want to be a good listener, then you have to stop talking and concentrate on the content and the information. Create a space. Hold your judgment for some time. If you want to become a good listener, you have to hold your judgment. If you're always judgmental, you will not appreciate or accept the point of others. Don't be defensive. Defensive is good, but not always. Open your mind. Focus. Remember names, questions. Good listener is always good listening skills are asking questions because you will not understand everything, every information which is imparted. So if you are asking questions which obviously should be logical, then it makes a good listening process. So yep, let's go to the main thing which we are really important for our corporate environment, which is presentation skills. If you look at the picture which is displayed at the right hand side of this slide, there are a lot of datas in the first pic. If you go to the second pic, they all are sorted. They look very neat, but they are sorted. The third one, it's all arranged nicely. The fourth is presented visually. But from first, these 4 pictures, does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. The last one, explained with a history. So now we understood with that data what we have done. So presentation skills are like this only. You have lot of data, all are sorted, doesn't make sense. Arrange, doesn't help us much. Presented visually, not that amazing because it's not giving any fruitful information. But explain with a story is the presentation skill. We should strive to develop this presentation skill. Data, there's a big difference between data and information. If you put everything, that's data. Information is arranged with a proper logic, like as it said, explained with a story. Let's look at the presentation skills, what I have plotted here. Having a clear recommendation action step. So the most important thing when you have to present something which is like, you have to have a clear action plan. What is supposed to be done? Understand your audience. You need to see whether you're presenting it to board of members or executive committee members. Last impressions is everything. But the moment you start, they will understand you. But make it very simple. Perform, don't present. Like, don't write everything on the presentation. I have written a lot of things, but I want to impart the informations. Handling objections, empathetic listening. Do through your homework. Learn how to use multimedia. Okay, there are a lot of tips for effective presentation. We will just check it thoroughly. Prepare carefully and logically. Practice your talk. We already read it. Know your audience. Know the occasion. Know your speaking environment. Pin down your topics. Don't put in too much of material. Avoid equations. Don't think that people sitting at the other side can do the equation very fast. So make it very simple. Don't put any equation. Have only few conclusion points. Don't make it's too messy and lot of points, because conclusion can only be 2-3, not more than that. Talk to the audience, not to the screen. You need to focus to the audience, not to the screen. Avoid making distractive sound. Polish your graphics. You can always use humor, but that should be limited and not go overboard. Check your graphs if you're presenting some graphs and all. Cross check it again for the figures and all. I know I'm writing this point. This is very funny. Switch off your cell, but still people don't do that. In between, they will receive their calls and talk. So it should not be done that. Be personal and be very friendly while taking questions. Don't take it personally that people are throwing questions on you. No, take it. If you don't know the answer, we can always say that I'm going to check and come back to you on this topic. There's no harm. Take it from me. I am doing that, and it doesn't look bad rather than giving a wrong answer and illogical stuff to the management. If the questionee disagree with you, don't argue. If somebody is not agreeing to your point, don't argue. You just say it's fine. Sorry for that. Maybe the understanding is not matching. Never insult the questionnaire. Show courtesy by displaying thank you. Thank you should be there in each and every slide at the end. Checklist for effective presentation. If you are the host of the meeting, make sure that all the stuffs are properly arranged, like size, table, chairs, sockets. You should check this before. Catering facility, arrange tables, sockets, electricity. Your monitor is connected to the presentation, projector, etc. So these are very important points we might ignore, but this is really important. Report writing. What do you mean by report writing? Sometimes we have an investment analysis to be done and there is no presentation to it. We have to prepare a small report for our management so that they will understand it, they will read it. But don't make it too long, because you have to understand the environment. So we all know how to do this. Just to put it in the PPT, I have done that because I use it very frequently. So I thought it might be useful for others as well. Report needs a formal style. Always, anything which we are writing, even a mail, it should be a formal one which has an introduction, the body and the conclusion. Now we are preparing, like in the Word and all, the formatting should be done nicely. It should be so simple that reader can scan it very quickly, and there should always be a summary, recommendation and action plan. So in a way, nutshell, there are 6 points to be covered. Report structure, it's the same actually, letter of transmittal. This is very, I would rather say, document controlling thing, but I just added it in after my report writing. Then reading skills, obviously reading is very important. So a lot of people don't have reading habit, but we should make a reading as a habit. Whenever we are interested in any of the content, we should do that. Open the door of knowledge. Obviously, if you're reading a lot of books and all, your mind will be open. You're an open-minded person because you will get a lot of knowledge about what is happening around the world in your corporate environment. It will add your benefit as well. Explore the world of communication. Your vocabulary will be good. It will boost the confidence on you. And then while reading, you need to see whether the purpose, surveying and questions. 5 R's. Read selectively, recite, reduce, reflect and review. Read selectively, then recite it, then reduce and reflect and review. Reading skill is very important. If we read, we gather a lot of knowledge. Okay, and that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Swati madam, for giving such a good knowledge and your precious time. We have understood lots of things, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Thank you.
Yes. Communication is
Right.
definitely not complete when it is not understood by our listener in
Yes,
the right direction. So we need
you're
to ensure that things are conveyed in the right direction, in the right way in which we
yes,
want to convey. We need to focus on
ex-
several qualities, like we need to focus on pitches, and we need to focus on facial expressions, body language, posture,
correct.
so many qualities you told, ma'am. So
And it's
I
actually
believe that our
important.
participants must have benefited a lot. Thank you very much for giving your time, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. Swati, do you have anything else also to share? Or we can
Um,
continue with some discussion points?
we can
Any?
continue with some discussion points. No, communication is
Oh,
done. We can continue because that will help us more in the discussion rather than just
anything
thinking
you
about.
have to share with time management, Swati? Done?
Yeah, yes, we can start time management. Shall we
Yeah.
start? Okay,
Yes, yes,
perfect.
yes.
Do let me know when the screen can be seen.
Yes.
It can be seen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. And shall I start now?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Once you have lost it, you can never get it back. That's called the time, what I think, because that are the most precious and valuable thing. We cannot go back in our school times and college times or now. So we have lost it and we have lost it. It will never come back. Okay, next. How to get start with the time management. Time management is actually a very precious skill, I would rather say, because it's not everybody can do it and not everybody manage their time effectively. That's why we suffer too much. If we cannot manage our time, the work-life balance is not there and everything is chaos. It's not that we are not leading a good life. We are still, but again, time is a crunch. With the busy schedule, we want to achieve infinity lots of things. So we need to understand how to manage time. We can all do that provided we follow the way it should be done. So let's get started on time management. Time management begins with setting goals. The process results in a plan with a task list or a calendar or activity. It's very difficult to do that, but take it from me, it's not difficult. In my experience of 14 years, I still maintain a work list. Every day I'm gonna cross off the work I have done, and date-wise I'm gonna maintain my diary. It's my work schedule diary. And would touch, I haven't missed a single deadline. Like, I don't remember now in 5 years. Because of some other hurdles, that's differently, but I didn't my work general. I'm gonna discuss more about it because it's really effective for me. So maybe I'm gonna impart this to others and it might help others as well. So this entire process of time management is supported by a skill set to include personal motivation, because once you have the task list ready with you, either it's a personal or professional, you are self-motivated because you know which time you are allotted for what. It helps you to delegate some stuff which other person can do it, and it will help to grow them as well in the organization, and you can effectively handle the crisis management because it's a dynamic life. Everything doesn't go as per the plan, so whatever we do, we need to have some room for crisis management. If you look at the proverb at the down of my presentation, cherish your dream as they are the children of our soul, the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. Look, we have a lot of things to do in our corporate world, in our personal world, our hobbies. Somewhere in all these things, we get lost and we don't have time even for our, like, just to relax for 10 minutes. But if we do our time proper management properly, then we might have room for our relishment as well. Prioritize what is time management? Time management is not you are managing the time. You have to manage yourself according to the time, because what is the constraint here? You are not the constraint. You cannot be available for 24 hours. So you have, in corporate world, you have 8 to 9 hours which you need to give it to them. Then your family will need to give 4-5 hours. So the time is the constraint, not you. Time management is about more than just managing our time. It's about managing ourselves in relation to time. It means being willing to experiment with different methods and ideas to enable you to find the best way to maximize use of time. Look, whatever works best for me might not work best for you. So we need to experiment with different style, and then we get back to one solution which is really good for us, like each and every individual. What is important? Sometimes we think that one task is very important. So there's a nice proverb which I really like it. What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. What are the objectives of time management? What helps if we manage, like what if we plan our day? I would not say time management in a way now. Then we can streamline, we perform better, we are proactive, we are focused, then delegate, we can plan, we have our to-do list, efficient, priorities, project. So these are the objectives. With time management, we can encounter all these points. Let's come to this quadrant, okay, the urgent important matrix, and it really helps in the corporate world, okay. There are 4 quadrants. The first one is urgent and important. It's in red, okay. The other one is important but not that urgent. The third one, urgent but not that important. Not urgent and not that important. What is the relevance of each quadrant? The first one, urgent and important. So it's urgent plus an important. So you cannot delay it anymore. You have to perform these duties without further delay. So when you are deciding your task list, you have to decide in that way only, in this, which items are fixing in each quadrant. But be mindful while doing that. The second is important but not urgent. It's important but not urgent. So we have to plan the second quadrant. If something is coming in the first quadrant, you cannot plan it. You have to do it. The second quadrant needs planning, because it's important but not that urgent. You're not in firefighting mode right now. Urgent but not important. This is mean that it's urgent but not that important. So we can delegate this out so other people can also grow and learn about it. Not urgent, not important. So it's just irrelevant, delete. What do you mean by this? Suppose I'm not don't take breaks in between. You can take, but you are taking a break of 1 hour. You're doing work for 15 minutes, again 1 hour. So that 1 hour break is not urgent, not important. So we try to minimize as much as possible this type of distractions. Okay. Then next one, which comes the 80-20 rule. This is a Pareto principle. It's an theory which said that 80% of the outcome results from 20% of our all causes. So if you are focused 20%, you can achieve 80% of result. For me, when I start work in the morning, if I am very focused for 3-4 hours, I can be more productive in the morning rather than in the afternoon. So actually this work, if you are more focused, if you are focused for 20% or 30% of your time, you can deliver a better result. Okay, let's talk about this productivity general, which I was saying. It's not about only you have to maintain a diary. You can even do an Excel. You can make points of your task list, which is supposed to be done like monthly or weekly or daily. Then you can prioritize following that quadrant, which I try to follow. You can also try. Then cross off the completed task and carry over the unfinished. So first at the day start, we know what we have to do. Then it motivates us because we can see 4-5 things are cut off. So it motivates us, and then we know what is pending for tomorrow. That really helps us. Yeah, sometimes it's very difficult to handle a big stuff. Like it's a crocodile. You don't know from where to start. The end, or you don't know the end, you don't know the start point of it. So better to break that task into small pieces, set the deadlines for small pieces, and that attack on the problem. Take it from me, it really helps to do in that way. It's very easy because as a whole, you cannot eat that. So better to eat small pieces and finish it. Okay, we all know about procrastination. When we don't have a clear deadlines, we always procrastinate because we know that we don't know when to deliver this, or we don't know where to begin. Like a big project, we don't know from where to start. So better to break it so that we avoid this procrastination. Okay, eat that frog. This is a very common very common phase. Your frog is the task that will have the greatest impact on achieving your goal and the task you are most likely to procrastinate starting. Because if you don't understand how to do that, then we always try to procrastinate that. Crisis management, that's what. We can plan everything, but we cannot plan crisis management. With better planning, improve efficiency and increase productivity, the number of crises you encounter should decline. However, you cannot plan for everything, so in this we will look at what to do when a crisis does occur. We have planned a lot of things, but by mistake we miss something and the crisis happened. There is a call from the executive management that need that and you have to finish. Then what we have to do, we cannot think right now sitting over here that why it happened. First we have to action the plan. So what happened, what were the causes, what will happen next, what events will impact this, who else need to know about this. When the storm hit, this happened. Then the moment the storm hit, we have to create a plan, identify a problem, decide on a solution, break it down, create a timeline. Once you have gathered the data, it's time to create a plan. The best approach is to identify the problem, decide on a solution, break it down, and create a timeline. Execution of the plan. The moment you have the blueprint ready, you can execute the plan and deliver. Lesson learned. Why this happened? Lesson from. Now we have dealt already with the crisis management, but it's not good to have the crisis management quite often. So we have to learn a lesson out of it and we have to prepare ourselves. So next time we should not face that type of situation. Organizing your workplace. It's very important to organize your workplace. How? I'll show you a picture. Decluttered. Working reference archiver. You have to declutter. If there are a lot of documents on our table, we feel very demotivated. I feel very demotivated. So we knew there are three categories. One is working, which we need almost every on and often. There are few which are references, seldom we need. There are few things which we don't need it. So we can archive that for reference. We can label it nicely and we can put it. And working, we need to keep it handy because we never know when we need that. Managing workflow. I know we do multitasking, but better to concentrate in few things which we need to concentrate at a time so that we can finish it off as early as possible. Dealing with emails, that is a big issue. Sometimes we say, I forgot to reply. I saw your message, but I don't know where it gone. Don't do that. But if we, like the way I manage my emails, I have a to-do list, to-do items where whatever emails I have to take action, I just put it there. Once the action is done, I put in my completed list. So I don't miss a single email by that. I'm not joking. I don't miss. Seldom I miss. Once in a 15 days or something, I miss one email. That too when I was in too much of pressure. So that way I handle my emails. Using calendars, you can put your task list in the calendars if something which is not that recurring, like after every month you do something. So better to put in your calendar as a meeting request. So you will get a notification by itself and you can address that. You don't have to remember everything. Delegation, we talked about it, how delegation helps in time management because it also gives an opportunity to other people to grow. When to delegate, an opportunity for growth of another. Recurring object, it's reoccurring every day the same thing, so you can delegate, not critical tasks. To whom you should delegate? Experienced knowledge, who has the knowledge to do that, who has the time and required supervision, current workload. So you have to check all these points before delegating. Just don't delegate blindly, it will create a chaos. Look, the one thing which is really important, delegation is a bit tedious because you need to give your work to somebody else. You need to explain them, but it's just one-time efforts. If the other person is knowledgeable, then you have to spend that much of time to do that. But after that, it will become simple for you and for him as well. So try to delegate wisely. Keeping control, yeah. You can delegate stuff, but keeping control in a different way. Don't micromanage because you have given somebody to do, then have trust. Brief your team members how to do that. Available for question, but do not micromanage. Ask for solutions. If you micromanage, you are taking the credential of that person, so let them do it, but you have to review your stuff. Meeting management. This is also a big time waster in the organization. There are few people who really do meeting that are fruitful, but there are few meeting where really waste of time. So we have to wisely take the decisions about the meeting. Better to plan the meeting ahead, have an agenda to it, put the time slot for each and everybody to speak, have a question session as well, and really first decide whether the meeting is necessary and all to whomsoever need to attend. There are few meetings where a lot of people who doesn't add values to it, so you have to decide the participant and the observers. And this approach helps a lot. That's called using the PAT approach. Purpose, agenda, time. What's the purpose of meeting? What is we are gonna discuss about it? And then the timelines. What is the time? So this way we handle the stuff. Agenda and purpose, then review of correct, like this. So everything has a time limit. There may be some mismatches, but doesn't matter as far as we have a plan to do so. Keeping things on track, stick to the agenda. Try to stick to your agenda of the meeting. Follow up on the missed item, end on an agreement. So that makes meeting more effective. Making sure the meeting was worthwhile. If we are doing a meeting, we should make sure that meeting is worthwhile. So how does it helps us? We have an action plan, then we have a time, progress, and follow up. Because once the meeting is done, if nobody is following up, there is no point. It's a waster. So we have to have a minutes of meeting. The end date should be there. So one person should follow up on that to make things happen. Word from the wise. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. You may delay, but time will not. That's what I said. Time will not come back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderfully
Thank
explained.
you.
Wonderfully
Yes,
explained.
Ravi. Yes, Hari. Just one moment. We can take a couple of questions before you propose. Thank you so much, Swati. In a very short time, you have went through this communication and time management presentation. Many times, our members who come from cities where the language is and our native language is different, which is mostly in many cases and many times many of our members come from non-English medium. Continues that way. So how, anything you can suggest for them to build up their confidence? Because until and unless we don't get into the English speaking environment, we continue speaking in Hindi.
So now we are coming to important point, economic indicators. If we read the newspaper, we'll see there are various reports are coming every, like say, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly. So all those reports are just help us to give us.
Sorry. So Swati, can you please go ahead and answer?
Yes, this is the best way to handle this situation. Don't feel upset about if you miss something, if you do something wrong. Continuous practice will really help. Reading makes a big difference, but sometimes we have so much to do, we forget that and we don't have time. But continuous practice, try to speak whatever they can. Doesn't matter if they are doing something English mistake, past tense, present tense. People will make fun of it, it's fine. But continuous using and reading will make a big difference.
Right. Yes.
And they should practice. They should try to practice with their friends. Actually, that's what we also used to do after our, clearing. Like, okay, now we are 15, 14 experience. We can speak fluently. We can get the words in a blink of eye. But it was not that the same. Right? So we used to practice with our friends, like small batches, group discussion, debate, and that really helps us a lot in articleship and all.
Right. Other thing I would like to ask you, Swati, is that, you work in a very multicultural environment. And many times, I hear that why these European people or those who come from England can speak better English, because they build very small sentences. Like their sentences are very small words. And those and we try to, when we are not in a habit of English speaking, we try to think in our native language and then build long sentence before it comes out of our mouth. So can you share some of your experience on this part?
Look, I am of different approach because I work with Germans. Okay, my
Yeah.
whole company is mostly German based. So I
Right.
have British people, I have American, I have German. So with British people, yeah, their native language is English. So obviously their English is uncomparable. But Germans
Yeah.
and all, they do the same. My boss, I know it very well that he first thinks in German, then he translates, but then also he makes short sentence. We do
Right.
that actually, but we should not compare with others. We try to build our level according to them, but comparison will not help us in that way. So
Right.
what I have
Right.
seen, there are few people in Arabic even speaking, they don't know much English, but they are real after 2 or 1.5 years, they are really learned a lot. Just because
Mm.
what they do, like they follow the emails of others, they follow how they speak, and we impart communication classes sometimes, and we held a small social gathering sort of thing where people talk about their challenges and all, and it really helps out because you can once you get the confidence, it's not something
Right.
English is difficult. You have to have the confidence. You don't have to use a very nice words. You just want to communicate what you want to. So that can be done in a simple words as well.
Right. We have, we get one more question, which relates to the time management partially, or considering, the work from home is significantly increasing. So
Yes.
everyone has to be passionate about his work and has to be honest about the work. But sometimes, some of our members have addressed that they may get monotonous, and because considering we are not meeting people, we are working from home for a very long time. So in this scenario, is there anything you can suggest members where they can continuously build their interest, bring a change in their working environment, and while working from home, give out their best in the job?
The best way I would suggest is plan. We also worked for 3-4 days and it's really overwhelming. I'm understand the mental situation of the person who are working from home. But if we have a plan in place, like we sometimes if you are at home, you think that it can go on. No, it cannot go on. There's a start time and the end time. We have to stick to our start and end so we can enjoy our rest of the evening as well. So if you have a plan in the place, you have your, okay, I have to do this, then a break of 15-20 minutes of lunch mine, then again start this. So by this, following this thing, okay, it cannot be followed every day. There are something which is urgent, but we try to follow our plans and routines and make a point that, okay, our in time is 8 and exit time is either 6 or 7. And we have to have a time to get to ourselves, not only working. Like, it's very convenient for us to take the laptop whole day, sit in front of TV, watching TV, working. Sometimes we do because we are really bored at home. But better to that, take a break of 10 minutes, refresh yourself, or take a call, see a video, then start again working. So it will give you
Right.
the motivation. Plus, involve in some sports and all after your office, or play some board game with your partner, your children. So it will help. It's really difficult to work from home. I
Right.
understand that. But we have to
Yeah.
have a start and an end point. We cannot go on like that. There are
Yeah.
people who are working till 12 o'clock because they don't have to drive. It's fine. They don't have to switch off the laptop. But in office, it's pretty easy because at 5:30 or 6:30, you will switch off your laptop and go. But then you have to maintain the same thingy at like work from home concept. I used to do the same.
Thank you so much, Swati. I would invite Hari to propose your final and formal last word of thanks to you before
Yes,
we
madam.
get on to the other.
Yeah, Swati madam, besides effective communication, we learned a lot about effectively how to manage the time effectively as well. Both are the topics rightly explained, wonderfully explained. And you told about how we need to prioritize our time, and we need to prioritize our jobs in order of their importance. That is very important for every professional, I believe. And you told about 80-20 rule, which is well known to us and is very important in every sphere of our life. Besides,
Yes.
you told about the Benjamin Franklin's quote that I liked the most. I have written that. So
Yes.
you may delay, but time will not delay. That is very
Yes,
important.
time will not leave us, correct? True.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Certainly, our participants must have definitely got some good ideas from your speech. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
giving your precious time, ma'am.
Thanks a
Thanks.
lot. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye-bye,
Swati.
sir.
Goodbye. Take care.
Goodbye.
Now
Yep.
now we move on to our next session. We move on to uh, the other part of the world, where our speaker based in Nairobi, Kenya, CA Praveen Bajaj, will be sharing great insights and experiences from another region. And I would introduce briefly Praveen. Praveen qualified as a chartered accountant from our institute in the year 2002, and he completed post-qualification course of DISA and forensic accounting and fraud detection. He is working as a group financial controller in a large corporate in Kenya and also serving as director in many corporates. He's serving as first vice chairman of our chapter in Nairobi, and he's also a member of CPA-ICI Kenya Liaison Committee. He is the executive member of Business and Professionals Directorate of Hindu Council of Kenya. While serving in different roles, different work areas, CA Praveen's work area spreads in Kenya, Uganda, and Mozambique. Thank you so much, Praveen, for being here with us today. And before I hand it over to you, I would like to sincerely express the gratitude for your support in ICI initiatives while serving in our chapter from past few years, and currently serving as a first vice chairman of the chapter. Your encouragement and enthusiasm, not only in Kenya, but also in other parts of Africa, mainly East Africa, and your support in helping us extend our cities on ICI map in Africa has been very significant. Today, you have taken out time to have a short engagement with our young members who have passed out in the last 1 year, between 1 to 5 years, and we keenly look forward to your session. And I would request all our members to please give a big virtual round of applause to Praveen. And Praveen, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, CA Pradeep Singh, sir, for your nice and kind words of introduction. So let me share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, Praveen.
So today we are going to discuss about the importance of economics in managerial decision making. So we have studied economics in CA even before CAs, but you know how it is helpful in our managerial decision making. This is the topic which we are going to discuss. So now, second slide. This is important slide. I request members to read. Let me read for you. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect you in your future. So this is important point when we are talking about the economics. We are trying to see in future, but trying to see in future with the help of the dots. Dots means the information, various information which we are getting, and we are trying to link one information to another information and try to see what is the future. So we will discuss this dots again and again. So this is the learning objective from our today discussion. So what is the role of business managers? Importance of decisions in business. How does economics helps in decision making? Economics theories and its relevance. So we are going to discuss demand and supply, business cycles, monetary policy, fiscal policy, economics indicators, international trade, and we are going to discuss brief about Marshall-Lerner condition and J curve, which is very important when you see its impact on African and mainly in developing countries. Now, role of business manager. So we have to perform various roles as a business manager. When we are talking as a business manager, we are part of business, we are part of management. We are not just restricting ourselves to the accounts, audit, only just one area. No, we are looking beyond that. And we are talking about the boardroom. We are talking about the management who is talking about the business, who understand the depth of the business, To reach to that level, we have to love our business. We need to understand our business in depth knowledge of our business. Once we understand in-depth knowledge, it will help us to understand our business and to help to grow our business. So we have to ensure, lead and supervise companies. We have to manage as employees, assess and identify new opportunities. We have design business strategies and plans to meet company goals, assess overall company performance. So now this is important. The goal is to turn data into information and information into insight. Now, importance of business decisions. So you see, as a business managers, we have to take the business decisions. A manager is successful if he able to take the decisions, quality decision, on timely decisions, and which helps enterprise to manage his risk. So we all work on the profit, but more than profit, we should understand how can we manage the risk which our business and industry is facing, and how can we manage it well. We can manage it once we ensure what information, what data we need, and we are getting those data and we are analyzing, and with the help of that, we are trying to take the best decisions. So whatever a manager does, he does through making decisions. So managerial process based on decisions. Decisions are needing for various purposes, either tackling the problem, taking maximum advantage of the opportunities available to us, and reduce the probability and severity of the problem. A successful manager is the manager who understands the business or who understands the economic theory very well, so that he reduces the probability and severity of the problem. See, after the problem comes, we can take the decision, but before that, we can foresee the problem and we take the decision in advance, so that its severeness is be able to reduce the severeness or risk of that problem. That is our strength. The managers are required to take the decisions in areas of, in a business, we have to take many decisions, either it's pricing, market, cost control, investment policy, decision policy, ESG, HR, and organizational structure. HR and organizational structure is also very important. Now, how economics helps to take better decision. The more informed a person is, the greater the chance that the wise decision he will take. I'm repeating, the more informed a person is, the greater the chance that wise decision will be made. So managerial economics is a management of business using economics theory, economics tools and concept, and better problem solving and decision making. I hope this we are understanding that mixing of theories, economics theories with the management theories, it helps us in taking demand forecasting, price determination, cost control, profit planning, business planning. See, we make the business plan. So how we want to make a business plan? Just only take the past numbers and add 10%, or doing the financial modeling based on some assumptions. When we are taking assumptions, those assumptions should be relevant and nearest to our understanding of the business. If we are planning, let sales will grow by 10%, then how the sales will grow by 10%? Just by putting 10% numbers will not help. We should know which product will grow, whether there is a potential to grow by 10%. So we need to have very strong interaction with the sales team. We need to understand what numbers they are predicting are really achievable, because their numbers become my numbers in the business plan. When we are talking about the business plan, all bottom line, top line, all are interrelated. The whole business decisions are related on the business planning. So business plan becomes successful only when we understand the business very well. Then profit planning, business prediction, and capital management, like a capital expenditure decisions, which you cannot change once you have taken the decisions. And if you have not planned and taken the decision very understanding the risk and return, then this decision is not changeable, and it can bring the companies in a huge risk. So let's move to next slide. Demand and supply theory. So I hope everyone has read this theory many times. So today we are not going to discuss about the demand and supply theory in depth. What is demand, what is supply, what is the market equilibrium. So just here we are discussing brief about the law of demand. We know law of demand, say inverse relation between price and demand. So it's very simple. If price is going up, demand comes down. So it is a mathematically, they have shown integer minus price of the X, and it depends upon income and also the price of the another item or another product Y. The law of supply also is a mathematically, we can define integer plus price and wages. Wages is the cost of production. Means if the cost of production is going up, the demand or supply of the products comes down. So market equilibrium, which we understand where there is the intersection between demand and supply, and the optimum point. So where the price will adjust and there is no excess supply or demand. So all this theory we have read in our student life and in our CA course. So now we are discussing more how it will helpful in our practical managerial decisions. So there are some more theory which I shared here. Elasticity of demand, which is most important when we are working for an industry. We should understand what is the elasticity of the demand of the product in which we are dealing. If it is highly elastic, it's unit elastic or inelastic. So we mathematically we know percentage change in QDX divided by percentage change in the price. So then another important theory which we have read, that is the consumer choice theory or utility theory. It represents all combination of two goods such that the consumer is indifferent. So we calculate the indifferent point. I hope everyone remember the example which we have read about the bread, one bread and two bread, and then how utility comes down. Another theory which is important is the form theory, maximize the profit. So what is the profit here? When we are talking about economics, profit is different than what we talk about profit in our accounting language. The accounting language, we have to follow the accounting standard, we have to follow the legal procedure, legal meaning of the costing. But when we are talking about economic, it is much more than the total cost. It is the economic cost. The economic cost means what cost which we are talking in the accounting language plus the required rate of return on equity.
Praveen, I think your slides are not appearing in a slideshow mode. So can you just check on that?
Okay, sir. 1 minute. Let me check.
Yeah.
Can I reshare it if you want?
Yes, you can reshare it if there is a technical issue in this.
Okay. Is it okay, sir, now?
No, I think no. Maybe you can click on that slide show option below. Maybe that may work. Yeah, the next button, I think.
This one?
Yeah, the last one, I think, before the zoom. Yeah. Yes.
Is it okay now?
Yes, now it's fine. Maybe.
So I can start from beginning or just from the where I was?
No, not required from beginning. You continue from where you were.
Okay, sir.
Sure.
So I was. I hope now it's okay. So the firm theory which we were talking about the economic profit, which I discussed, that economic profit has a wider meaning than the total cost. So when we are talking that total cost, it includes the required rate of return on equity. So suppose a company is having the cost of capital like say 10% and required rate on let's say equity is 12%. If a company is able to generate the economic profit or economic return, then those companies are the favorite of the investors. Like take an example of HDFC Bank or Kotak Bank in India. So their earnings are growing by more than 20%. And their cost of capital, if people see they are 12% or 13%, so they are favorite of the investors. Why? Because of the economic profit they are generating. So when we are talking about economic profit, we also have to understand where our industry falls. This is most important to understand that which market structure we are. So either we are in perfect market competition or we are in imperfect market competition. When we are talking in perfect competition, we don't have pricing power. We are the price taker. We are not the price maker. So we have to accept what is the price which market is giving. Then what is the solution for us? We cannot complain that market is giving us the less or more price. The only thing which is in our control is our cost control. We need to understand our cost. We need to understand our optimum level of production. We need to understand what is the right mix of my product and what is the right mix of the production level which we have to ensure to get the maximum profit. So here the decisions which we usually take to ensure the cost structure, control the cost and keep the cost in very control point to ensure that we are able to make the maximum profit. So here the total revenue, we know that it is upward sloping. So price is equal to the market MR, marginal revenue. When we are talking about imperfect competition, so it has curve has a decreasing slope. So it goes up, then it start coming because of the diminishing rule. So imperfect competition has different revenue chart curve. So now I'm moving to another slide. How theory of demand and supply helps in managerial decisions in microeconomics. Demand depends on two factors. One is utility to satisfy consumer wants or need, and another one is consumer ability to pay. This theory, what we have seen, helps us to do the sales forecasting, which is most important when we are planning about the sales. We need to understand the demand theory, supply theory. We need to understand what consumer is willing to pay, what is the consumer choice. Pricing decisions, we just can't take the decisions on the pricing arbitrarily. We have to see the market, what are the market dynamics, what is the economy, in which phase we are of the economy, and what are the competitor price, and accordingly we have to fix the prices. Financial decisions, production decisions, all are linked with this theory. Then, elasticity of demand helps us to take decisions over purchase of input, product price, sales promotion, and advertising expenses budget. So I just want to share some practical aspect of sales promotion and advertising expenses. You are in a perfect competitive market, and your products are standard or homogeneous, and your sales department is coming with the budget to spend money to grow the demand. See, when we are in the perfect competitive market, it is not in our hand to grow, to take our brand to grow the market share. We have to accept what is the market is giving us the price, and we have to see what is the elasticity. If we are at unit elastic and we want to spend money on marketing and advertising, it will not help. So here we have to see, can I differentiate my product? If I can differentiate my product, I will move from perfect market to monopolistic market. So there we will be able to show our product that these are different product and consumer will like. And then if we are spending money, consumer will take that price what we want to sell. So all these decisions which we can take once we understand the market structure and elasticity of the pricing of our products. So there is just some small case study. This is from Mr. Puran Chandra Rao. So I'm not going to discuss the mathematically of this, but once we are planning to demand the sales forecast, we need to understand the price elasticity, income elasticity, cross elasticity, and based on that all mathematically formula, we have reached to the conclusion that by spending money, our elasticity sales will go up by 3.8%. So we are coming to the important here, the business cycle and decisions. So economy is always up and down. Cyclic phase known as business cycle or trade cycles, depressions and recessions differ in their severity and duration. So we see the economy, it grows, it has the four phase, it has trough, expansion, peak, and it starts in the contraction. So once we are in our industry, we need to see where our industry or market falls. So various decisions which is based on the business cycle, like appropriate trade policies, business cycle affects all the sectors, and important to identify which phase of business cycles we are. Either if you are in the contraction, then you have to reduce the credit to customers. If not, what will going to happen? You will see many bankruptcies are happening in the market. And if you not taken the decision in advance, and once you taken the decision when the contraction is already happened, then your company in a big loss. They will see the financial losses. Many customers are not going to pay your money. So if you are at the peak position and you realize that market is at peak, now market is going to the contraction, you will take right decision at the right time. And then you will reduce the purchase, you will reduce inventory. These are the general things which we depend upon the industry to industry, and every industry has different, maybe phase. Sometimes all the industry are not affected by the business cycle. It depends upon, like you are in the cyclic industry impact more. You are in the steel, you are in the cement, you will see that the impact is more severe than the industry which is in the defensive product. Strategic business decisions, different phases and many need different actions. Expansion, increase output level, contraction. See, you have to see when your contraction is long, then should I run my loss-making branches? Should I continue the product which are giving me the loss? Or what decision is the right decision? So based on this, you can take the right decision. So cyclic business and defensive business. So cyclic are more vulnerable or sensitive, like a steel, cement, electronic. So you have to take the advantage when economy is moving from trough to expansion and to peak. So this period you have to take the maximum advantage because demand will be high. When demand is high, you can make more profit, and those profit will help you in the contraction phase. So as a business leader, you need to understand how to take the advantage of the expansion, economy expansion. Now, monetary and fiscal policy. So monetary policy is the central bank policy, which we all know. So keeping target of economic growth, stable inflation, which always central bank keep in mind to decide about the interest rate and money supply. So as a business manager, we have to understand the Fisher effect. You are working on a loan. So the rate of loan is depending upon two factors. What is the real rate, inflation, and risk premium. If market is expecting the inflation will be out of the control of the central bank, so their demand on the interest will be higher. So you have to ensure what will be the trend of the interest. If the interest rates are going up in future, and whether my profit will be able to I will be able to manage that profit. I will be able to manage my cost, or what is the solution now? Should I reduce my loan, or should I repay, or should I take another loan? So all these decisions will be based on this Fisher effect. So we have to monitor the policy rate, requirement on the reserve. So open market operations, we have to carefully watch this data we get from the news, and many economic survey reports comes which shows this data, like governments, like central bank is buying the government securities from the commercial bank. So it shows that they are expecting the economy will be in the expansionary. So we have to take the advantage again. We take the advantage, we try to increase our supply if we are in a position, and we can increase our profit margin. So if a government is, central bank is planning to sell the government securities, so it is indicator that inflation is high, they are feeling inflation will be out of control, and they are going in the contractionary phase. So here we have to take another decisions. Now coming to the fiscal policy, it is a government policy on the taxation, spending, aggregate demand, which impact aggregate demand, and aggregate demand, aggregate supply, long run aggregate supply, long run aggregate demand, they all are related with each other. So when government is making the taxes, they are reducing the tax, they are reducing the indirect tax, they are spending on the infrastructure, so it means they want to expand the economy. And once they are raising the tax and lower the spending, so it means they are seeing the economy is now going to the contraction phase. So all this understanding will help us to take the right decision. So this is a screenshot of monthly economic review report from September 2021, Government of India, Department of Economic Affairs. So you can see various indicators which they present, and it comes monthly. So you can see this website dea.gov.in. So now international trade we are talking. So exchange rate regime. We should understand, suppose we are working in Africa, so or we are working in Dubai or any other country, we should understand which exchange rate regime we are. How international trade happens and capital flows. We need to understand trade surplus or deficit of the country, export and import. We need to understand what is the surplus or in deficit, because if there is a deficit or surplus, so it has to be offset by the capital and financial account. A country has trade surplus, so what we have to see here? We have to see there will be upward pressure on the currency, and long-term effect will be trade surplus will be shrinking, and short to immediate effect is the capital flow drive up currency and financial assets, because there will be more investment, more money will start coming, and it will take a drive up our financial market. The important concept in international trade is Marshall-London condition. This is very important condition which is applicable in the developing market, and IMF follow this condition very well. So you will see most of the time developing country or an African country there is a currency devaluation. So why does this currency devaluation happen? So this happens only because of this Marshall-London condition. I will give you one practical example. I was in Mozambique. So few years before there was a news that many Indian companies are coming to Mozambique market, and they wanted to invest in a large scale. All big business houses which in the commodity business, they have set up their companies. But after 2 or 3 years, they have done good planning. They understood the market. They understand the commodity price. But what mistake they did not able to understand this condition, Marshall-London condition. Why? Because it depends upon various factors like elasticity of export and import, and it calculate what will be the impact of the trade deficit, because most of these countries are having the trade deficit. When there is a trade deficit, IMF always recommend them to devalue their currency. So when I was talking about few years before, Mozambique currency devalued by 70 to 80%. You can see, like, take an example, Indian dollar to rupees is 75. So it becomes overnight, next day when you wake up it is 150. So you see how is your business will be. Now your capital has come down by 50%. So all these things, if you understand this theory, it will help you to manage your business and risk. So some important tips: invest in some good books which will help you to understand this. Managerial economics, there is a good book, Prabhu TL, so you can plan to buy this. Understand this. This will help you really to understand. If you are planning to, either you work in the India or outside India, you need to understand the managerial economics very well, because it helps you take the decisions. And there is another book, Decision Making and Problem Solving in Management, Robert H. Vaughan, The Art of Decision Making, Joseph Bicat, The Coaching Habit, Michelle, and Multiplier. This is a nice book, Multiplier. It works on two different policies, like a focus on being genius. This majority of us, we focus to be a genius, but there is another approach which is unlocking the genius. Unlocking genius means unlocking the genius from your team. So it will help you more instead of being genius alone. So these books you can try it to get from the market and reconnect the dots which we discussed earlier. So economics is all about the linking the dots. So I have given you some case study which you can try to work it out, why there is a currency devaluation happens frequently and constantly in developing countries, especially most of African countries. I mentioned it is because of Marshall-Lerner, one of the condition, and another one is IMF using this Marshall-Lerner condition, how they use and how they do the implication of this. Once you make this project, it will help you to understand the African market and devaluation of the currency. So there is one new report which I mentioned here. So you can see essays in International Finance, Currency Devaluation in Developing Countries by Richard N. Cooper. So you can Google it, you will find it, and then you read it. You will understand why there is a currency devaluation in developing countries. So thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. So I hope, I try to cover in 30 minutes majority of the things. It's really difficult to cover the whole economics in 30 minutes because there are many decisions which we have to take on the basis of this theory. So thanks to all our future business leader, and we'll see all these business leaders in the boardroom very soon, either in Africa or in India. Thanks everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Praveen. I would now request CMIB team member C. Hari Vadva to please propose a vote of thanks to you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Praveen sir, after listening to you, I am impressed that economics is really very important in taking the managerial decisions. We are impressed. So in the topic, we learned that managerial decisions, we know that these are very important. But when a manager knows that he knows the nitty-gritties of the economics, then he can, perhaps he can take more rational decisions. He can take more effective and more accurate decisions. We understood from this. And you told us about demand and supply theory as well. This is very important. We learned in our educational, professional learning. And you told us that economic profits are, more important for the businesses than the accounting profit. So these are having some more important for the organization in taking the business decision. And we learned about the case study on Dr. Puran Chandra Rao as well. Then monetary and fiscal policy, you told us, these are also very, very important to be considered in taking the rational business decision. So overall, it was a very, very learning, learning for us. It was good from our side. Thanks for the session. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Praveen. We look forward to see you again soon sometime. And now, in the day, we have covered various topics where we started with communication, we moved to time management, and we learned about importance of economics in managerial decision making. Now we'll move to another topic, a little bit of technical and mostly practical aspect from our speaker who is based in Johannesburg, Africa. Rajiv, are you there? Rajiv, I see you here. I don't see you on the camera. Are you here?
Okay,
Rajiv?
I can open my camera.
Yes.
Hi, Pradeep. How are you?
Yes. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So you will continue with the session from your car?
Yeah, sorry, I'm commuting, so I have to take this call from my car. I'm outside.
No worries.
Sorry for the noise. If you get anything, I'll try to make sure that there is least of noise. I'll close my windows. Good
No
evening to
worries.
the India friends and good afternoon for my Dubai.
Yes, Rajiv. Just before you start, let me introduce you briefly, and then you can continue.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Rajiv is a chartered accountant from our institute with more than 18 years of post-qualification experience, of which 16 years is in telecommunication industry. Rajiv is a Six Sigma trained, accomplished. He has accomplished one green belt project and has participated as SME subject matter expert in several black belt projects. Rajiv is a certified business process auditor. Rajiv's specialities are in-depth knowledge of revenue assurance, mediation, billing, provisioning, fraud management, business intelligence, and credit control in telecom domain. Having in-depth knowledge of telecom solution, Rajiv is currently serving as a secretary in our Johannesburg chapter of ICAI, and he has contributed significantly for our chapter to come up recently. Thank you, Rajiv, for being here. As convenient to you, your practical experience being shared will make a big difference. Your significant experience is in telecom industry, and I think this is the industry which is also very, considering the changes happening, is of significant interest to everyone. So I'm sure the practical experience which you will be sharing today will help our members to learn something new, and I would encourage all to take benefit of this session, be attentive, and let us hear. And before we hear from Rajiv, I request all to please give a big virtual round of applause to Rajiv. And Rajiv, the screen is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhudeep. Thanks a lot. Again, good evening to my India friends and good afternoon for my Dubai and African friends because of the time difference which we have here. As Prabhudeep said, I think it is very true that the telecom is a very unique type of industry. It actually defies our the principle which we have on accounting side when we talk about manufacturing or anything. I'm just taking you back a little bit on the basic before I just start on the revenue and other things. If you see in telecom, we all use telecom, whether we use it by fiber network or we use it through the mobile phone or other thing. But have you ever noticed or ever think of that, what we actually are paying for? We are actually paying for airwaves, which is actually free. So, and this comes to, and if you see from the accounting point of view, as an accountant, if you have to take a stock of in a telecom company, what do you take a stock of? Air, wavelengths, frequency. Is that your stock? Is this your assets? So this actually puts a big question mark that actually what this industry is selling to a customer is an intangible asset. And how you're going to account for in your books and how you're going to or do an audit on this type of environment. So this puts actually whole accounting and audit goes for a toss that actually we are doing something or we are just booking something, a fake revenue. Hopefully, I think this would be triggering some basic questions in your mind that if that is the case, then how this industry has been flourishing, how this industry has grown and never been looked. So if you see the recent changes which we have got in the standards, whether it is an IFRS or other, is reason being that usually the accounting treatment or audit practices are being done based on the traditional manufacturing units which we have, or where the mining industry, exploration, and those type of where you have tangible assets or tangible stock which you can count for you. But in the service industry, actually you cannot count anything because these are all intangible assets. In service industry, what are you going to count for? Your services. Services are based on people, things. And the same thing would be, a very similar thing would be in with the IT. IT is basically you develop an software which could be valued at any value. Should you value by the time value spent on it, or you value by the amount of value you can derive from it, or the value you can derive in the future? So these are the basic questions which actually triggers in this type of industry that what we are accounting for and what we are going to audit this for. And if this is so intangible, then how this industry is doing their accounting work? So guys, if you see in this industry or in these usually all these software industries also, all these works or these things are not considered as stock or anything at all. So, so I just take you, why I've taken you back and then moving ahead is that you can take the gap between traditional way of doing the accounting and audit, and then this is a new way where the future is going. With this Corona and COVID going around, we would be more digital. Most of these are traditional industries would also be going digital. And the audit and accounting in this area would be more challenging. We have to think in a different way. We cannot go in a traditional way to do the same way of accounting. So then the question comes in, then what is we are selling here? Yeah, we are selling the air. We are selling an asset which is or a stock which is intangible or not seen. These are services. But how you value these services? So, and why these companies are giving billions to the government for obtaining the licenses? Why these licenses are being valued at that value, so much of the value? So I'll just touch base a little bit of technical part. I'm not an engineer or something, but I'll try to give you some picture behind it so you can understand and then help us in doing the accounting part on this. Because in my understanding that without understanding the industry, we cannot do any accounting or we cannot even do the auditing on that part. We need to understand the technical part behind it. So if you see, yes, we are selling the air in this industry, but actually how you capture the air, how you transmit the voice in the air is basically through the traditional it used to be the radars and then other things, and these days also it is done through mostly it is through the fiber which is laid down in the ground and in the sea. And you must have heard about undersea cables and the fiber being laid. So the basic infrastructure is based on that, and that infrastructure is basically the asset in this one. And these assets and what the fiber is, they have a capacity. And these capacity are being enhanced by putting in equipment, I would say, or some big servers over it, which monitors that what type and how many customers can sustain on that frequency at a time. So this is where our accounting start coming in. Because now we have something tangible, we can see or we can record or measure to see that this is where the accounting start working in. So how many customers what is the capacity over there, how much you can build up, what is the wavelength you can send, how many calls can be done in the same time, what is the data you can transmit at the same time. So these now become something which is measurable. When it becomes measurable, obviously, then we can record it and then we can put a value to it. Okay, the value again also comes. Usually, if you see most of the countries and the governments have regulated rates there. So those rates would be guidelines for our the way we do the accounting on that. So this is how I would say the overall structure of the way we do the accounting record these instances and take in a stock in the telecom industry. Before I move to the next level, any questions, anything anybody wants to ask, anything in this?
Rajiv, you can continue. We can take the questions maybe in the end only, because we have anyway just 20 minutes left.
No, I'm just asking because after this, I will be moving to the next level. This is basically the accounting. Then I'll be moving. So this is basically a different type of how we do the accounting in telecom. It's not where you can stock. It is not where you have. It's basically you are counting the air, but there is a different way of counting that air, the frequencies and all those things.
If any question comes, I will share with you. I'll just.
No issues. You can stop me in between.
Yes.
So this is where the beginning of the accounting and how the accounting can start saying, okay, this is it, this is not, and you can justify, you can have some measure out there. So now the assurance part which comes in is that how we ensure that whatever is there is being accounted for and we don't miss out anything in this. So as I started with the beginning, that there are systems, there are equipment, there are servers, which defines that what are type of capacity these fiber or this infrastructure can carry. So that becomes our the first checkpoint from the audit point of view, that we have now a reference point to say that, okay, this is my stock, and now I can count out of this stock how much has been sold out, how much consumer are there, how much consumers have consumed this facility, whether in the form of voice or whether in the form of data. And this is, we track from one system to the second system and how the calls are being terminated from origin to the termination. So when the calls have been terminated, then it is called an end-to-end thing where you can record as revenue. So that is where we say that it is terminated, which means received by the receiver. And that is the instance where that stock will become a revenue out there. So till that time, if it is not received and it is dropped in between, then it is discarded, which means that is type of a loss which is incurred by the telecom company on that part. So that is, I'm just explaining these things which we might be hearing in more an accounting type, so that my colleagues can understand how this accounting works in this telecom environment. So when it comes to assurance is also the same thing. You not only manage or you walk through the network elements to check whether all the customers has been accounted for or not. You also go around and check from the sales to order that how much customer sales have acquired, how much customers have agreed and signed off the contract, what is the contract period, how much they have been loaded on a billing system, which is financial system in a way, and then match with the network element to get the difference between, is there any difference between these two databases, to understand, is there any revenue leakage on that or not? So this is a very high level I'm telling you now to understand how the audit environment within the telecom environment happens. Because this is the main area where the sale has been recorded and how the sale has been recorded. If there is any record which is not loaded on the billing system, then obviously you will never know whether the record is to be billed to the customer or not. So there would always be a gap. This is the basic point where you do the audit and you check it whether these things has been done. So this is one level of checking. The second level of checking which happens in this one, which is basically is in any process, is that system which has been implemented, that network system has been implemented, how compliance or from the governance point of view, they are compliant. If there are 100 customers on that, and every customer make 10 calls, are they able to record all the 10 calls, or they miss out something? What is the accuracy of recording the calls? To what digit seconds level they can record the calls? Because I just want to give you one example on this. Let's say there's a one second difference on each customers, and let's say take a big telecom company which has a customer base of 200 million subscribers. Just understand, if they every day on one customer, every customer misses 1 second on it, and 200 million subscriber base, how many million minutes would be left out? And then multiply with that rate which would be there. So you can understand, this is the daily revenue loss we can easily get. So basically, we're talking about here 200 divided by 60, which is nearly about 3 million, let's say around of 3.3 million minutes every day would be missed out if there's a 1 second difference on that. And we multiply that, let's say we're talking about rupees, that 1 minute is equal to 1 rupee. Let's say that's one. So every day that company is losing 3.3 million rupees every day, which is nearly about 33 lakhs. Then multiply by 30 and then multiply by 12. It becomes a big revenue stream for that company. If they can just save 1 second on each subscriber base on recording that call. So this is the extent of accuracy which has to be there in this environment. If that accuracy is not there, the company can lose billions of rupees over the period. So that is the reason I just started with the network side, that is a network issue where if it is not being configured properly. So this is the second step which we do with that. The network is recording all of them. Their time is right. Their governance from all the network elements which should be there is properly being as per the standard telecom engineering standard which is there, are being compliant. So there are standards which are available. You just need to check against that they are right. And then the third one comes in when you start mapping all these things from network, from IT, from sales, and then do a recon, pure recon. As we do a bank reconciliation, any stock reconciliation, we just do a reconciliation between them and try to figure out where is that there could be a slippage or there could be a process gap which could lead to a revenue leakage. As I explained in my first thing, any small mistake can lead to a bigger values or revenue leakage in the thing. Without naming the company, but I'll just have one of my first initial experience when we started the revenue assurance in my time, about 15 years back, we observed that the calls going from Delhi to Meerut were tagged as local instead of tagging them as a regional call. I'm talking about 15 years back when there was no One India and there were multiple STD, ISD, and then within the region, outside the region, there used to be multiple rates. So somebody just said, no, Delhi to Meerut is like a local, there's nothing. And that company was losing millions because of that. Because what has happened? You just configured, everything was right. They just configured it instead of doing it as an intra circle like an NCR into an local call. So immediately the rate changed. And understand that the calling between Meerut and Delhi was And it was not one, there were like few other satellite cities like that, I would call, which were configured in wrongly, I would say, as a local one. To just understand the impact on the revenue on would be just how it was treated and they're rated wrongly. So this is what we found out. I'm just giving you one of the good examples from my live examples from our my previous experiences. The another experience I'll share with you is when you were talking about the seconds, when you're saying seconds were missed out. I was talking about seconds. The example is basically on the 2 decimals and the 3 decimals. So where should we round it up? Should we round up or we should round down? So there's always a big thing that should we round up or should we round down? Or we should just round off. Understand, in seconds, you are talking about milliseconds. And milliseconds, if you are rounding up or rounding down, that makes not a big difference. Anybody say, no, don't make a difference. The company I'm talking about, they have 1 billion CDRs a day. Just multiply that 0.01 into billion and then to the 1 rupee. You will understand the exposure at that level. So these nitty-gritties becomes to a different level when you're talking about these industry, because they actually lose or make money on these milliseconds also. So on that 0.03, when on decimal 2 or decimal 3, where should we do that round up or round down? Round down, that caused few $1 million to that company. So it is just a saying that it looks apparently that doesn't make a difference. Why you're so fussy about rounding up or rounding down? But when you start measuring it and putting to a fact sheet, it changes a lot. And there where us as an accountant, we come to a play. Because if you talk to any sales guy or any marketing people, they say, no, don't worry about points. Do round up or round down, I don't care. That is a typical any salesperson or any non-accounting guy would do it. This actually was taken up by our CFO at that time. He said, no, I'll keep out of audit, I'll keep 2 people or 3 people separately who will just run across and do a revenue assurance type of a thing to ensure that my revenue has been properly accounted for in this. And we found millions lying here and there. And this is a classic example. These 2 examples I've given. These are 2 live examples. Happened about 15 years back or 16 years back. But they are at that level. And this happens, it can happen even now also, even in this age when we talk about we are in automation and other things. So this is just I touched how accounting and auditing are so intertwined and how they impact in the telecom environment. Any questions? Anything? Any Prabhadev?
No, Rajiv, we don't have any questions as of now. Maybe you can give your concluding remarks and then we can close.
Okay, before I move to the next level, which is basically the refinement of the revenue assurance, because this is basically, I just talked about where and how, why the companies are spending millions on the consultants and the internal audit departments, especially in these service industry, to measure this, because these are even seconds, milliseconds, they cost them millions and billions on that. The second level on the refinement which comes in is basically now, as you said, that we are more into automation and the systems are being designed and being implemented. The systems are what we design for. So see that that you are an auditor and you look that system as a person, as a manual person who's doing that process day in, day out. Can that process fail? The chances are there is a 1%. But we are, as an auditor, we are looking for that 1% only. We are not looking for 99%, because 99% system is managing it. So there our expertise as an accountant comes in, how we can, or as an auditor, I would say, how can we use our information and knowledge to design different type of techniques to do the audit and capture those leakages out there. So I'll start giving some examples to elaborate on that.
Yes, Rajiv, before you go ahead, I have one question. You can. We have a question from Raj Bhanawat, who is asking, so how ISPs value below C cables, etc.? This is his question.
Okay. The valuation of C cable is basically on the cost they have incurred to install that.
It looks like there's some technical issue with Rajiv's connection. We lost. Yes, Rajiv, we had lost you in between. So if you can maybe repeat.
Okay. Hold on. Am I back?
Yes. Now you are fine.
Okay. I think it would be network. So I'm just saying, when it comes to C cable, understand C cable. Installing a C cable is not an easy job. When you're installing that fiber, the cables in the ground holds the cable. But when we are installing it in the sea, when there is a water current and other things which can damage the cables, so there's a special companies or the way it can be installed. Cost of installation is huge. So we take the cost of installation, cost of the cable, and then capitalize that from end to end. It is normal capitalization. There is no projection or anything like that. It's actual cost incurred on installing and acquiring the C cable. Hello?
Yes, Rajiv, you can continue. Yes, you can continue.
Okay, sorry, I'm
Rajiv.
just checking. I'm just checking because the network was up and down. I was just checking.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Hope I have answered the person's question.
Yes, Rajiv. Thanks for that. You can continue with this.
Okay, the third step I was talking about is in the current environment is basically doing an audit of the systems. We call it a system audit or a process audit. We walk through the process and check as if we are walking through and checking with a manual person who's maintaining those. In old days, we used to be ledgers and all those things. So you go to one system and ask, okay, what information you have. Then you go take that same information and check the second system, whether the same information is there or not. It's like a simple audit. We do a recon and start checking between them and start analyzing the anomalies we found out in the reconciliation and record them. What are the outcomes of it? There could be few logical reasons for that differences. And then there would be few reasons which would not have logical reasons, but you need to get in touch with the persons who are responsible for that those systems. In our environment, we call them as the process owners or the system owners. Like if it is a CRM which is owned by sales, the sales guy would be responsible for answering those questions, why these anomalies are there or what is the differences out there. If those are like a network system, then either the network delivery team or the network maintenance team or the engineering team will respond to that question and saying that what are the reasons and why they are there. And they will not only give you the reasons for it, they will give you factual facts behind it, why it is there. And if it is like a billing software which is usually maintained by the finance team, and then that team will explain to you why there are differences, what are the causes for it, and then you record those things. And all the three systems are there, from sales to the delivery and then to the billing. These are the three main in the ecosystem which are there. You can reconcile all the three reasons which you have got it, and then take those reasons and analyze them at a high level, and then start analyzing whether this is making a picture or not. And then try to understand when these reasons are reasonable, have a reason or a factual, I would say, which can be explained. I think I've over my time now. So that is how you close the audit, saying that you have seen all the three systems, you have managed the workflow and the data flow between them, and then check whether these are making sense or not. Yeah,
Yes, Rajiv.
I'm actually
Thank
done
you.
with my more. I've done over my thing.
Yes. Thanks, Rajiv, for your session and being on dot. And before we close off the day, I request our CMIB team member, CA Hari Vadva, to please propose a vote of thanks.
Yeah, Rajiv sir, telecom sector being a service sector is totally different. We learned that it's totally different with the traditional sectors like our mining and infrastructure sector. So audit is certainly very different in such a very complicated, sophisticated environment. So audit in the telecom sector is different. We learned. So fiber cables, you told us that fiber cables are being laid down underneath the oceans, and a high volume of data is being transmitted through the radars and satellites. So it would be very challenging for the audit team to conduct the audit in such an technologically sophisticated environment. So, but you also explained the nitty-gritties of this entire industry in a very simple and lucid manner. So I believe our members would have certainly benefited and understood the nitty-gritties. So thanks a lot for giving your precious time, sir, and the knowledge you shared with us. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Rajiv. And before we sign off, I request all our members to be here tomorrow, the last day of this batch, where there are three speakers. Should make a big difference to all of us. And stay safe, take care. Good night. Bye-bye.